They say that when it comes to parenting, there's no such thing as too late or too early. On this episode of Pop Rica, we're going to talk to a mom who proves that it is not about the age but all about the love.
May kasama akong amazing mommy who have transitioned from being a beauty queen to an island goddess. Everybody, please welcome the gorgeous, ever gorgeous Miriam Quiambao-Roberto.
Thank you so much, Rica. Napaka-glorious na yung introduction. Mutual Admiration Club, gorgeous Rica there.
Thank you so much. No, honestly, I feel like kasi Miriam and I are both in our 40s and I don't know, I just feel more beautiful in my 40s than when I was like in my 20s. Ito rin ba?
Oo, totoo. That's how I feel now. I mean, I feel more at home with myself. I feel I look better compared to how I look back when I was a beauty queen.
How are you in your island life?
Ay, super sarap ng island life. We just love it here kasi walang masyadong pressure of the city life. Walang experience ng traffic, hours in traffic, lalo ng holiday season.
Yes. I get what you mean na parang this must be a dream life then for you. Is it?
Oo. Oo. In my 20s pa lang, it's always been my dream to live in a house on the hill, on an island which I own.
Why not?
Yeah, diba?
And is this why you're not, kasi syempre everything went back to normal na. Hindi na kayo rin bumalik sa Manila. Diba? But I don't think you have plans of going back. Do you?
Well, we had to go back because yung panganay namin si Joshua really didn't like his life on the island.
Oh!
So, we sent him to school here in our first year. So, sabi niya, mas gusto talaga niya in Manila. So, in-enroll namin siya ulit sa Manila. Now, we have to go back and establish a new place in Manila. Same village sa Bacoor, Cavite.
Last March 24, 2024, Miriam and Ardy Roberto renewed their vows as they celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary. They have 3 lovable boys, Joshua and their miracle babies, Elijah and Ezekiel. Miriam shares both the joys and the challenges of motherhood.
Well, at my age, because I had children in my 40s, late stage na, diba? Wala kasi ako comparison nung bata ako na nagkaroon ng anak. Ako ng anak eh. But I can imagine, I probably would have had more energy when I had children at a much younger age compared to now. But still, I'm blessed because I had 2 miracle pregnancies, diba? And having children is always a joy. Pero napapansin ko parang pinumol ko yung anak ko, parang workout na to, hindi ko alam kung kahit nakatuwa ko, siguro kailangan ko mag-workout din talaga para malakas ako to carry them. Tsaka nagko-compute kami ni Ardy. By the time our kids are adults, or probably by the time they graduate from college, if Ziggy is 2 years old and he graduates, let's say, 18 years from now, 48 na ako, plus 20, 68 na ako by the time he graduates. Kasi hindi ko alam kung late ba siya mag-aasawa, maabutan ko ba yung mga ako ko.
Oh my gosh, we have the same concerns! As in yan din kasi yung nararamdaman ko. That's why I wanted to ask you if there were like things that you were thinking about specifically as, you know, as a mom in your 40s na may mga bata ka pang maliliit in your 40s. That's very different when moms who were like, having them in their 20s or kahit 30s, di ba? Kasi, yan na nga, yung computation.
Correct. Although there's also an advantage.
Yes, I was gonna ask you that.
Because now that I'm at my 40s, I'm also more financially established than when I was in my 20s. Back in my 20s, trabaho, puyat, halos di ko makita yung family ko. Diba? And if I had children then, I wouldn't have the time to invest in them as much as I do now. And now that I'm in my 40s, I've invested, I have passive income. So now, we have all the time we want to spend with our kids.
Right. You know, that's why I wanted to ask you that. Because it's the same realization for me. I feel like I worked so much in my younger years na ngayon, it can afford me a life of just being with my kids. I don't have to be away from them anymore. Versus, I was talking to a mom recently na parang sabi niya, very successful siya now. Pero sabi niya, now that she has the time her kids no longer really want to be around her so much because they're like 15, 16. They still want, but it's not like when they were toddlers, di ba? So I think that's what we have. And that's what I always tell other parents also na nagsa-start out pa lang. May pros and cons pareho. So I'm glad that you said that. But how is it now?
For me, ever since it's really all based on my faith there, my Christianity, and I know that family is my first ministry. And no one in his life ever said on his deathbed that I wish I spent more time at work. With my family. Sabi ko, kailangan talaga mag-invest ako ng time to be with my family so that I can have influence with them or on them for a much longer time. And with homeschooling, that's the benefit, diba? Because we get to spend almost every day with them. We only have such a short window of time that we can influence our kids.
Right.
And the time na gusto niya tayo makasama, diba? So yung window of time na yun, we invest. And if I were younger, too busy with work, I wouldn't have that privilege to mold them in the way that I want them. Although I don't want to judge those families or those mothers who decide to work full-time alongside with raising their kids. I know they have their own way, but for me, I think this is what's important to me, to invest time with them, even at the young age, growing up. 4 years old ako, this was a core memory for me. My mom had a corporate lifestyle. She was driving and I was running after her because at 4 years old, of course, I wanted my mom. She turned the corner and I stopped. I wanted her but she didn't even stop to look at me. Tapos gusto kong maiyak pero natakot ako kasi maraming mga kapitbahay nakatitig sa akin. Sabi ko, hindi ko kailangan. So parang may nagkaroon ako ng subconscious decision not to want my mom. And so growing up, I wasn't close to my mom.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Siguro we've had times together, but hindi yung I would confide in her, yung walang ganon. Na-restore lang yung relationship namin nung time na nakilala ko na si Lord, sabi ni Lord, to honor my forgive and honor my parents. Doon lang na-restore yung relationship namin. And by God's grace, I had 5 years to establish a close, loving relationship with my mom before she passed away.
That's such a gift.
Yeah. So, because I've had that experience, sabi ko, pag ako lumaki, ayoko forced ako to work just to keep a lifestyle. Gusto ko, when I grow up and I have a family, I want to have that option to choose to work or to be with my kids. That's why I look into learning about financial investment, having passive income, para I can still contribute financially to the family and spend time with my kids.
Yes. And you know, it's making me realize one thing kasi they always say that you must learn from your mistakes. But you know, mistakes of others also happen to us. And sometimes they're very life-defining. Like the mistakes of our parents. I mean, it's a reality. It's not to dishonor them. The way that we also are affecting our children, diba? But I think what's great about your story is that your mom may or may not have been aware na, you know, she was doing this to you. But definitely, it created a first a negative impact in your life. Pero eventually, you used it to make, kumbaga okay, let's break a cycle that is not good for families. And you turned it into something good. Which is, you know, for me, it's encouraging. It's inspiring kasi kahit na, marami kasi sa atin parang stuck tayo na ito yung trauma ko nung bata ako. Ito yung ginawa sa akin and we can't move on. But your story is showing me that, you know, no matter what happened in your past, there is a way to break that and to move forward with a better kind of life, diba? So thank you for sharing that.
But my mom wasn't a bad parent. It's just that she was a busy parent.
Yes! And it's a reality.
It's a reality.
Like, some parents out there nakakaiyak kasi parang wala naman talagang choice. Kasi sila lang talaga yung nagtatrabaho, diba? So hindi po kami nag-judge. Alam din po namin yung reality. And we're actually grateful that nagkaroon tayo ng privilege to make it different.
During desperate situations, when you know what's most important to you, you need to stand. You know that you will put this above everything else. Now, how do you balance that? It really comes in seasons. Before I had kids, I was focusing on speaking. But when I had kids and I had a tender pregnancy, parang I couldn't even work. I couldn't even homeschool my child because it will stress me and probably affect the baby. So may mga seasons na ganun. Pero, you know, everything can be done, but not all at the same time.
So if you were to put it in a brief, what is your wisdom to share to parents na about their season?
Seasons come and go, but the season of your children is only short and it will never come again. So you need to know your priorities. Meanwhile, if you really need to contribute to your family's income or probably exercise your giftings, pray for wisdom.
But last na lang is, what is the best lesson that you've learned in becoming a parent?
Well, the first person who made me a parent was Joshua. He was 6 years old when I first became his parent. He was adopted by Ardy and his late wife. Back then, I didn't know how to love a grown boy who didn't come from my own. I knew that God put me in this family. Sabi ko, Lord, you love this boy more than anyone. And I don't know how to love him. Will you give me a heart to love him as you love him? As parents, we are so limited in our capacity to love. But only God has that unchanging, never-ending, all-encompassing kind of love that all parents, He's a perfect parent, all parents need. So we need to tap into that source in order to be effective parents. We're not going to be perfect. But when we love with the love of God towards our children, then we can be the best parents.
Thank you so much for your wisdom, and I hope to have you again on Smart Parenting. And as PFAM, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you took down notes. And we'll see you again for the next episode of Pop Rica. Bye, guys!